Right, so for today's video, we're going to be talking about a situation where a TikToker has recently called out a cafe. And I think it's fair to say that the video's kind of backfired. The TikToker's facing a lot of backlash because of this video, and we're going to kind of see the reasoning behind that as we go through this. So first things first, there's a couple of people you need to be aware of here. The first one being Daddy Snacks. He makes TikToks kind of like calling out people who are being like cringe or like entitled, you know what I mean. And one TikToker that he has recently called out is this user right here called Vincent. And it all started when Vincent uploaded this video, which is actually now being deleted, so we're watching a re-upload here. But he's basically talking about his experience with this cafe that reached out to him, asked if he wanted to do a collaboration. He ends up saying how much he would expect to be paid for a collaboration like this. The cafe says they're not able to do it, but you're free to come down and try it if you want.
New cafe in New York City DM'd me saying they love my content and they want me to go in and try their new French toast. I gave them my rate and they said they didn't have money for it, so I told them that I'd go in and try it, and if I like it, I might post a few stories. I asked if they could accommodate a guest and add another food item and a drink, and they said they couldn't afford it. I should have known there was going to be an issue when I heard that, but I did not catch the red flag. We confirmed the date, and on the day I went in, I told the staff that I came in because I was invited. The barista walks to the back to talk to the owner, and then she comes back and tell me that I should have came yesterday. I showed her the messages I had with the cafe, and it clearly said I was supposed to come in today at 2 p.m.
Okay, so we can kind of see where this is going, right? Vincent spoke to this cafe, they spoke about doing this collaboration, decided they weren't able to do it because of how much it would cost. We later find out that Vincent quoted them $4,000 to show up at the restaurant and like post a Instagram story, a YouTube short, and a TikTok. So yeah, I'm not exactly surprised that the cafe responded saying that they couldn't afford it. That's a lot of money. But now that he's actually showed up this cafe, he was assuming that he was going to be getting his food comped. And as we're hearing here, the cafe is saying that they're not able to do this. And because of this situation, Vincent goes on to explain that this is one of the worst experiences that he's ever had.
2 p.m. She goes back to the kitchen to talk to the owner, and when she gets back, she tells me that they can't serve me. Mind you, I came in just to try a French toast and one drink. They couldn't even afford a second French toast or a drink that would have cost them maybe like $5. I asked them what's the reason since it's already been confirmed, and they didn't give me an explanation, so I just walked out and went to another place. I thought I'd be nice and do them a favor and commute 40 minutes to go try this stupid French toast. This turned out to be one of the worst experiences I've ever had.
Yeah, so I think it's fair to say the video's a bit dramatic, isn't it? I mean, he's saying things like it's one of the worst experiences ever had, this stupid French toast, you know, they can't even afford $5. Also, the caption of the video, which again is now being deleted, but it did say, I wonder how they're running a business without enough funding to an extra drink for a guest. Their food and drinks are arse anyways. So yeah, he's kind of grilling this cafe at this point, right? He's saying like the food and drinks are bad, saying that how they even run a business if they can't afford an extra drink for a guest. He definitely doesn't come across very well in this video. And I mean, he's saying this is one of the worst experiences he's ever had, which if it is, I mean, that's great, right? Because this doesn't seem like that big of a situation. Now, as we'll go through these videos, we'll see what Vincent's response to kind of all the backlash has been. He very much kind of like doubled down on this original video, showed some like proof, like screenshots and whatnot. And his big response to this is basically saying that the cafe said they would comp his food if he showed up. He then shows up, 40-minute drive, gets turned away. Which, yeah, I can see why that maybe would be a bit frustrating, right? They've said that they'll give you something for free, you drive over, they said you can't have it anymore. But when we see the messages between Vincent and this company, that's not really the full story, in my opinion. But now let's actually go over to Daddy Snacks' page, where he uploaded a video. He kind of starts off by showing Vincent's video, and then goes on to give his thoughts.
My God, you guys, a small business wouldn't give me free stuff, and I'm literally shaking. But seriously, did you miss the part where they said they couldn't afford this before you showed up with your friend? And if they're cheap for not compensating your $5 French toast, what does that make you for not just fucking paying for it? I have 3 times as many followers as this guy, and I have never once even thought to ask for free stuff. And before you tell me the cafe shouldn't have messaged him asking him for a promo, maybe he shouldn't claim to be doing this to support small businesses.
Honestly, I just wanted to be nice and do a small business a favor, but that backfired.
Yeah, so this was one of the first videos, or at least one of the first videos that I saw kind of calling out Vincent's video. And it does seem like most people have very similar opinions. You know, the fact that Vincent's saying like it's only $5, a lot of people's response to that is, why didn't you pay it then? In fairness to Vincent, a lot of people are also claiming that Vincent showed up with his friend, expecting his friend to also get comped food. From what I understand, that's not really the case. Vincent did show up with his friend, but only expected his food and drink to be comped. And of course, he is saying the reason behind this because the cafe said they would, and that's where we actually get to Vincent's next response. Again, this video's been deleted, but we do have the re-upload here, and he actually responds to Daddy Snacks' video specifically, and says that basically people have been lying about him, and he wants to tell the full side of the story.
What does that make you for not just fucking paying for it.
So this guy made a video mocking me today, and I'm getting a lot of hate comments, which is never cool. But I wanted to clarify what happened and tell the whole story because a lot of people didn't watch the original video and just saw his clips and jumped to a conclusion. I will be looking at my notes because I'm not good at speaking and I don't want to leave out any information. And I do want to say that I was dramatic when I said that it was the worst experience. But what I meant to say is that has never happened to me before in the few years I've worked with brands and companies. So this cafe has been following me for a few weeks, and last week they DM'd me inviting me to try the new French toast on the house, meaning it's free. They did say they really like my content, so I'm really grateful for that. I didn't ask, but they told me to bring a guest. I didn't want to assume that they're going to accommodate my friend, so I asked and they said they couldn't afford a second French toast or a drink. So I said no problem, I'll come in anyways to try that one French toast and the drink. Emphasis on one because a lot of people are saying I went in, asking them to accommodate my friend, but I didn't. We confirmed the day and time and I showed up, talked to the barista, and the barista goes to the back to talk to the owner. She gets back to me and says that I should have came yesterday and I missed it. But I showed her the message I had with the woman in charge and I was supposed to be here at that moment.
Okay, so we see what he's saying, right? They reached out to do this collaboration. He's then offered a price, they can't afford it, and then they've basically agreed on the fact that the cafe is going to give him his meal and drink for free, and Vincent's just going to come along and maybe post a video about it. Again, we are going to get to the messages in just a second, but the way that Vincent's explaining it here, based on the messages that we've seen, I don't really think this tells the full story. Vincent then ends this video by saying that the cafe actually apologized to him and says that he has a right to be upset about something like this.
I didn't question it and I just left the cafe. I messaged them when I got home and the woman apologized saying it shouldn't have happened. To this day, I still don't know why that happened when they're the ones who reached out and invited me, and we had a confirmed day and time. This guy is saying I could have just paid for the toast and the drink. I think I have the right to be upset that they invited me and asked me to come in for something that would be on the house. When I arrive on the day, they changed their mind. So instead, I just went to another cafe and supported them instead. The issue isn't the cost of the toast or the drink. It's more so the fact that they contacted me first and said it would be on the house and I should bring a guest. When I showed up at the agreed time, they just turned me away. It just sucks that this guy cut clips of my original video and made it seem as if I was begging for a free toast. I think I could have used better wording when I was telling the story, but I still think that I have the right to be upset with the experience.
Okay, so Vincent posts this video. As you see, he says like it sucks that this guy made the video, made it seem as if he was begging for toast, basically calling him out in response to obviously being called out, to which Daddy Snacks actually uploads a video again, and this time he's actually got in contact with the cafe.
With me to address an influencer who accused me of lying. I posted a video about how this guy threw a New York City small business under the bus because they wouldn't give him free food. He and his followers blasted me, accusing me of misrepresenting the situation. I am absolutely petty as fuck, so I reached out to the cafe myself for screenshots. I'm gonna post them here. You can pause the video to read them, but I will summarize them.
Okay, so we are actually going to pause it and have a read. Let's see what it said. Okay, so the first message we see is Vincent. This is obviously in response to something, which I assume is the cafe saying, like, would you want to collaborate? So Vincent says, "Hi, thank you for the kind words and extending an invite. I'd love to come by with a friend and try the new French toast. To be transparent, I can't guarantee posting for unpaid collabs, but I usually do if I enjoy it. If that works, can I get back to you soon with a date? Yes, if you'd like to give us your media kit, we can talk more." To which Vincent replies saying, "My video rate is $4,000 per video on one channel, but happy to repost it across Instagram Reels, /stories, /Instagram, and YouTube Shorts for no additional charge. Let me know what you think I can do this weekend or next." Yeah, like I said earlier, I don't blame the cafe for obviously not wanting to pay $4,000. It's a lot of money. Would they have got that back in return? I'm not entirely sure. To put in perspective, Vincent has 123k followers on TikTok and 129,000 followers on Instagram. To me, the $4,000 seems like a lot, but he can offer whatever he wants, right? It's up to the business if they want to accept that or not. He does actually end up following up saying, "If this isn't within budget, still happy to come by sometime and try the new menu without posting obligations." So he's basically saying here that if you don't want to pay the $4,000, I can still come and try like the food and drink, but there's no promise I'm actually going to post anything about it. So the cafe responds saying, "Thanks for letting us know. We unfortunately don't think we can afford $4,000 for this promotion, but you're still welcome to come in anytime." Vincent says, "I understand. Yes, let me get back to you on a day. Okay. Hi, can I come by this Saturday at 2 p.m? Yes, I won't be here at the store on Saturday, but I'll leave a note that you'll come by. I can talk to my team to offer you a French toast with a drink for an Instagram story post. Would that be okay with you? Please let me know." It's going on about like adjustments and whatnot. But the important thing is here is that they have said that we can offer you a French toast with a drink for an Instagram story post. So that is with the guarantee that there's going to be a post. Now again, just like the $4,000 price tag, Vincent has every right to either accept that or decline that, to which he basically declines that. He says, is it possible to accommodate at least 2 menu items and 2 drinks? I plan on visiting with a friend. I can't guarantee any deliverables, but I usually post stories if I enjoy the meal. Let me know your thoughts. So again, he's sticking to the fact that he can't guarantee a post. Fair enough, right? But the cafe responds saying, okay, let me talk to my boss and I'll get back to you soon. Hey, so I talked to my team and unfortunately we can't afford 2 French toasts since we're still a small cafe, and the best I could get for you were 1 French toast and 1 drink in exchange for a story post. If that doesn't work for you, you're always more than welcome to casually come by, to which Vincent says, no problem, I'll still come by Saturday 2 p.m. then. Okay. So to me, unless I'm being really stupid here, they didn't agree on a free meal, right? Because the cafe has said, we will give you the free toast, the free drink in exchange for a story, and Vincent hasn't agreed to that. So to me, reading this, it seems pretty obvious that if Vincent went to the cafe, he would have to pay for his meal. Even without these messages, I don't really think it's all that big of a deal, right? Because it is just some French toast and a drink. Again, not the biggest deal in the world. But when you actually do see these messages, it does feel like Vincent was being, not entirely honest. He made it seem as if their agreement was that he was going to show up with no guarantee of any posting, but was still going to get comped for his toast and his drink, which isn't the case. And in fact, looking at these messages, Vincent didn't even respond to the final offer, which was obviously 1 French toast, 1 drink in exchange for a story post. He just said, no problem, I'll still come by Saturday at 2 p.m. then. So I am a bit confused why he expected the order to be for free, but we can also see here that there is another message sent on Saturday after Vincent actually showed up to the cafe, which was the cafe apologizing to Vincent. So yeah, getting back to Daddy Snack's video here, he goes on to give his thoughts. He kind of gives a summary of what we kind of just spoke about, then gives his thoughts on the whole situation. Also goes on to explain that the cafe actually makes the toast in-house from scratch.
The cafe replies and says the best that they could, an operative word here is could do, is 1 drink and 1 food item, but he's welcome to stop by casually anyways. He then proceeds to show up with his friend anyways, expecting for his food to be compensated, at which point they say no, he goes home and then makes a video calling them out. He also calls their food ass and calls the ownership cheap. Well, it turns out that this place actually makes their French toast in-house from scratch. I'm going to tag them below because I highly encourage everyone in New York City to support this small business. I'm going to be stopping by there next week and paying for my meal myself.
Now, after this video was posted, Vincent ended up deleting all the videos and hasn't responded since. And from what I can see, the reaction to this whole situation originally was actually a lot of people being 50-50, right? A lot of people saying Vincent was being entitled in his video, but then also a lot of people that were definitely on his side saying well, if they agreed to this and he showed up and made the journey, they should actually stick to their side of the deal, right? But after these messages came out, the response has definitely changed. It does feel like a lot more people aren't on Vincent's side. And maybe he just misread the messages, right? It does really feel like he is very confident in the fact that they did come to this agreement, that the meal was going to be comped or the toast and the drink was going to be comped, and he wasn't going to have to do anything in exchange other than be there, grace them with his presence, you know? He obviously said that there is a chance that he would post about it if he liked it. Turns out he didn't like it because he ended up saying that the food was shit. But yeah, there obviously is a big possibility here that he genuinely did just misread the whole situation and misread the messages and genuinely did believe that they came to this agreement, but looking at the messages, I don't really think they did. Now, a lot of people have been making response videos to this whole situation recently, one, for example, here is from a user called The Culture Forecast, and he is basically saying this all comes down to a lack of communication and him kind of misunderstanding the situation.
After looking through both receipts, I just want to address Vincent here because I think he's not understanding something and nobody's telling him because they're just focused on sending him hate. Vincent, the problem here is there's a huge lack of communication from you. You keep saying they invited you to try the French toast on the house, but that's not true. They wanted you to give them a post in exchange for their free food. Now, in their initial message, they don't explicitly say this, but let's keep reading. Thanks, Dottie, for the receipts. You first tell them that you can't guarantee a post for unpaid collabs. They're not willing to pay you for nothing, so they say, okay, give us your media kit / rates. You say 4K, they say never mind, but please feel free to come in at your own time. Now, to me, that is not an invitation for free food still. But you think it is. You respond with, okay, let me get back to you. Are you still expecting to be comped for nothing?
Yeah, I think that's a big thing that's kind of confusing me here, right? Because it's not like he believed they came to a deal where they were both going to get something out of it. He thought the deal was going to be that he was going to get the free toast and free drink in exchange for nothing guaranteed, maybe opposed to he feels like it. And if you want to make deals like that where only one person benefits in it, then fair enough, but then don't go and make a TikTok video complaining about the situation. He wasn't giving anything in return, so I don't really get how he can complain. The only thing that he really gave in return was his time, right? The drive. Still, is that enough to go to TikTok and complain about? I don't think so. Now, the culture forecast, or David, goes on to explain that Vincent's videos make him look entitled.
You also didn't give them a heads up that even though it's only one French toast and one drink, you're still going to bring a friend because, I don't know, you just want the company. So you show up, there's confusion, you get turned away, and then you go home and make a video about it, and it makes you look really entitled and inauthentic.
I thought I'd be nice and do them a favor.
I assume it's because the owner's cheap as hell.
So did they want me to share a drink with my guests?
Vincent, you can happily take one French toast and one drink on the house and buy a second drink for your friend. Or you and your friend split the cost of that drink. I've been taken to these collabs. You can buy your own things on top of the free stuff they give you.
That would be absurd.
I made this video because people on the internet can be quite mean. I'm not defending you, but I also don't think you're a horrible person, and I feel like you're able to learn and grow from this, hopefully. And we've all been there when we are not communicative enough and get unreasonably upset at something.
Now, as well as videos like this, there have been some videos that I've saw that maybe not necessarily on Vincent's side, but not on the cafe side. Basically, I've seen a couple of videos like this one from a user called Princess Paul, where he basically goes on to say that Brioche NYC, the cafe, isn't a small business.
Brioche New York City is not a small New York business. At least I would never use those words to describe a business that is run by a rich Korean man as part of a bigger corporation. Let's look at who the owner of Brioche New York City is. If you go to the 3chordsinc.com and you look at their website, it's basically a premium beverage consultant distributor company that's offering guidance to small businesses, maybe large businesses. However, they do have 3 in-house brands that they operate. One of the notable ones is Semicolon Cafe, which has been around since 2019 and has multiple franchises across the nation. We have Sweet Moment, which is opened in 2017. There's a location in Little Italy and Soho, maybe even more potentially franchises by now. And then if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see that Brioche New York City is part of this in-house branding where it's essentially following the identity of Semicolon Cafe's sandwiches.
Okay, so you can see what he's saying. He's saying that this cafe is owned by this much bigger business that owns multiple cafes. He then goes on to say that the owner of this business is incredibly rich, therefore it's not a small business.
The founder and the owner of Semicolon Cafe is, I'm gonna butcher this name, Sung Pyo Hong. He used to be the CEO at 3 Chords Inc. Maybe he still is, but essentially he is a rich Korean man. I made a previous video where I said that the danger of labeling something as a small New York business is that you don't actually know who is this business. When you go to K-Town and you find people who work in K-Town and see these businesses, you might notice there is a trend in terms of branding, identity, the location. And the trend is that a lot of these rich Korean men, like Sung Pyo Hong, have the money to basically rinse and repeat so many small businesses in New York City, but purposely hide the fact that they are part of a much larger corporation having franchises, etc.
And then Paul goes on to say that he would stand behind this business if they were in fact a small business.
And for me, it's like, if this were truly a small New York business, then I would fully stand behind that. There is a lot of entitled influencers out there. However, it took less than one video for a commenter, who I'm going to tag below, to share with me that this is the actual reality of Brioche New York City. This is not some bootstrap cafe with limited funds. They've reached out to a ton of New York City content creators to make content and pay them for it. So I'm not here to defend Vincent and not here to attack Daddy. They both have their own branding and platform that they want to build off of. But I want to say, do not believe everything you see on the internet. Do a little bit of investigating. When you see someone attacking a small New York City small business, Don't automatically assume that it's a small business just because of branding.
Now, looking at the comments in this video, it does seem like most people don't believe that this information is all that important. There's a lot of comments like this one saying, just because the owner of /semicolon is very rich, doesn't mean that the actual management team at Brioche NYC is rich. They're most likely a franchisee. Franchises thrive, but local franchisees often fail and have to close down. I know franchisee owners, and it's very much like still running a small business. Small business is also legally defined as less than 500 employees. There's even more comments like this one saying, just because they aren't as small as they claim to be doesn't mean that the entitled influencer was worth more than he really was. They wanted to do something nice and he took it way above his own worth, so they backed out. People defending Vincent are weird. And yeah, in my opinion, I do believe that regardless of if Brioche NYC is a small business or not, I don't see the need for Vincent's video, and especially when we see the messages, it doesn't really feel like his video kind of told the full story of what actually happened. Now, the videos have been deleted, like I mentioned earlier, so I don't know if there's going to be like a new response from Vincent, and whatever his response would be, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, all in all, I feel like it was just a silly video post where he doesn't come across incredibly well. And again, even if the situation did really play out the way that he said it played out, I still don't even feel like it was worth like making a video about and like bashing the business and saying like the food's awful and all this stuff, you know? Because at that point, it didn't really come across as like a review of the business, right? Saying, oh, I didn't really like the food. It kind of came across a bit petty because of the situation. You wanted to kind of go at the business. Yeah, I don't think it was a smart idea to post a video. I think that's my overall opinion. But either way, I would love to know your opinions in the comment section down below on everything that we spoke about in today's video. If you did enjoy it, leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff. Also, if you're interested in some other content, me and Emily have a channel where we post vlogs. We've recently posted like a road trip video. We've just filmed a new video. It's going to be posted in a couple of days. If you're interested in that, that'll be linked in the description down below. And yeah, until next one, I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, goodbye.